Fill in the blank. Finally, I get to it. I know I should have gotten to it a while ago. Blank did not step up in Week 6. Who's your pick, Charean?
I'm going with the Browns defense, Mike. We knew Baker Mayfield was hurt. We knew they had a problem at running back with Nick Chubb hurt. We knew all that going into the game. So that Browns defense, which is ranked second in yards allowed, 22 in points, needed to step up and play big. It did not. They have 4 takeaways this season, which just isn't good enough. They gave up 352 yards. They had no takeaways against the Cardinals. The Cardinals scored on their first 5 possessions, and I realized 2 of those came off of turnovers with 0 yards and -5-yard drives that set up field goals. But they gave up 3 really long drives in those 5 possessions that they needed to figure out a way to stop. They didn't get it done. This is a defense with a lot of high draft picks on it, and they just didn't step up to the plate when their offense really needed a Mike.
13 points allowed in 2 games, the Bears and the Vikings. 84 points allowed in 2 games since then, the Chargers and the Cardinals not getting it done. I'm going to say the Chargers offense. They went from 47 points against the Browns to 6 against the Ravens. And one thing that Golick pointed out this morning that I think is significant, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert said that he saw looks from the Ravens they hadn't seen on film. So the Ravens mixing it up, the Chargers weren't ready to take advantage, and they did not step up in what many thought, including me, would be one of the best games of the day. I thought the Ravens would win and the Chargers would cover. I was half right on that. Blank got owned this week. Who's your selection?
Well, we spent a lot of time on the Dolphins, so we didn't spend a lot more time. But I do think it was the Dolphins because there's one team in Florida that's really good, as we know, the defending Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. There's 2 really bad teams in Florida. And now we can say with certainty that the Dolphins are the worst team in Florida because the Jaguars beat them. And I know it was on a last-second field goal. The Dolphins have actually lost 3 of the last 4 to the Jaguars. The only one they won was last year. And frankly, Mike, Trevor was better than Tua yesterday, and I think he's a better quarterback than Tua overall.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, and this team is in a bad spot now, and they need to come up with some answers because they keep in the same spot over and over again through different regimes, different quarterbacks, and Stephen Ross is not going to tolerate it for long. I'll say the Texans because – hey, the Colts are coming off of an emotional loss, 22-3 lead in the second half. They blew it. They had 6 days to get ready. They looked great. The Texans looked horrible. The Texans, hey, they got their 1 win. And if the Texans hadn't gotten their 1 win, I would be wondering where the next win would come from. But they have their 1 win. Did they get a second win that I missed? They did not get a second win. I'm thinking a lot like
Tyrod's coming back.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how long he lasts. We'll see how long he lasts. At a certain point,
that's a good point.
Just like with Carson Wentz, you got to say when the guy gets to 100%, it's temporary. And Tyrod may have to change the way he plays a little bit if he wants to stay on the field. The Vikings blank, and there are a lot of words I could put in there after watching double-digit leads in the fourth quarter evaporate in consecutive weeks. Charean, what would you say?
Well, I'm going to say they're a mystery team, Mike. They can beat anybody. They can lose to anybody. They just played some weird games. Their only blowout was that 30-17 victory over Seattle. Every other game has come down to the end. 2 overtime games. They're 1-1 in those games. They had a 1-point loss to the Cardinals. They should have won on the field goal. 7-point loss to the Browns. A 2-point win over the Lions. Can beat anybody, can lose anybody on a given day. They're just a weird team.
The Vikings still may not make the playoffs because this reminds me of when Brad Childress was the coach. I used to call it chili ball. He combined the West Coast offense with a cover 2 defense, and the whole idea was keep it close, shorten the game, and hope for something to go your way in the fourth quarter. Well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The end result, you're going to be either 7-9, 8-8, or 9-7. And I feel like for the Vikings, it's going to be 7-10, 8-9, 9-8, or 10-7. And is that really going to be good enough? I don't know. And they got the Cowboys and the Ravens coming up, so good luck with that. The Bengals will what, Charean?
I say the Bengals will make the playoffs, Mike. They're well on their way. They've learned how to win. I think that's very important in the NFL, but they've kind of figured that out. And I think they've passed the Browns now very quickly as Ohio's sweetheart. I think they're the team in Ohio that's going to contend in that division for the next few years. They found their quarterback. They have a great weapon at receiver. This is just a really good football team that's going to get better by the year.
And, you know, we both had some fun with the draft that we did before the season, the teams that have no chance to make the playoffs. You picked the Panthers, I picked the Bengals. Well, I know, because the Panthers are letting you off the hook. The Bengals are putting me on the hook, and they're going to mount me on the wall before it's all said and done. Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman will what, Charean? The Giants not looking good right now. Got blown out at home.
Yeah. I'm going to say be gone, Mike. I mean, Judge is 7-15. Gettleman is 16-38. This is just not a team headed in the right direction, and they don't look like they're ready to win anytime soon. And by anytime soon, I'm not just talking about this year. I'm talking about next year. And I know their expectations were higher than we talked about expectations. They were higher than the way they've played so far this year, Mike.
I think Gettleman will be gone. I think with Judge, it's to be determined. The team loves Judge, but the problem is, unless you're going to promote someone from within, and I've heard theories that maybe Kevin Abrams would take over as the GM and he'd be fine with Judge. You know, you get this mismatched shotgun marriage between coach and GM where the new GM has a coach that maybe that GM would have never hired, and it's just a matter of time before the GM gets to hire the coach he would hire. That never works for me. I think they both need to go or they both need to stay. And it could be by the time it's all said and done, both go.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.